Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of my 152nd Mezco Toyz 112 Collective action figure review, this time being of the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Captain Nemo. Now this figure looks totally badass and in a very unique packaging, so before we take a closer look at the actual figure, I want to take a closer look at the box. Okay, so I just wanted to show off the packaging of this figure first, as I usually like to do with unique style, more like packaging. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot this thing comes in a tin lunch can, or a lunch box, whatever you want to call it. Totally forgot about that. So you got the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea right there. You got a really cool image of Nemo right there. Great artwork with some fighting some type of squid monster. Got the exclusive logo right there. You got the Nautilus right there, like that. Same thing on that side. Just some fish sea life on the bottom. Same thing on the top right here where the handle is. Same image right there with more like Mezco write-ups and warning, things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this open for us right here, so we can see this. We got those warnings and things like that, and manuals, and then our figure is right there. I'm really excited about this one, man. I'm so happy about this. He looks so cool. I know this isn't gonna be for everybody, but I could not turn down how awesome this figure looks. So now let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let him breathe. All right, guys, now let's take a closer look at this new Captain Nemo figure. Holy crap, man. When I saw this, I was like, dude, that is sick, because this could have easily been a pretty boring figure and a very basic pirate, which I technically wouldn't be a bad thing. But Mezco totally did their own style of this character, doing that Mezco way, making him look a little extra badass, which I love. They actually have done a Nemo figure way back when, but that was an old school, just a really cool toy. Now they're doing him in the 112 Collective line, which I think is rad. But man, this guy is mind-blowing. So that head sculpt looks so good. I love how they're getting the little beads in the beard. I think that looks really cool. You got that shadow around the eyes looking awesome. The bags under there, his wrap around his head, his bandana looking really, really good. You got his earring right there looking cool too. I love when we're actually looking at the entire suit here. You got this like really nice gold and like copper nautical like trim and things like that all over the vest, looking really cool. You got some like seaweed type of designs. On here you see like a giant octopus symbol wrap around his arm like that. I love the puffy sleeves that we get right here. They have that little stitching on there, looks really good too. Same thing with the belt, you'll see like the little seashell and things like that. All these cool little like nautical themed type of like intricate details. Like the buckle is actually a trident. That's really cool. I just noticed that. You got the little symbols on his arms right here, little hand. I love little details like this little tassels part with little beads. That is actually a separate part from the wrist, so that will come off once you remove the hands, but that looks really cool too. I love this arm over here, and you'll see what that is. That's more of like a robotic arm. You can see like the pistons and things like the gears in there in the palm of the hand, looking really cool too. All kinds of little switches and gears and all that kind of stuff, looking really badass, man. The inside of it looks really good too. Damn, I'm loving this guy. You got the little pouch right here with the straps, all looking really good. You got little hooks and rings and things like that. You have nice trail boots right there. Those little metal on there with the little steel toes. Like bad tread on the feet, looking good. I love this so freaking much, man. More like leather like pants. I mean, damn, this is a freaking cool figure. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. Most people might just want, you know, your standard DC and Marvel figures in this line. But it's figures like this, to me, that really make the 112 Collective my favorite action figure line, and it's been that way for about 5 years now. I love this line when they give us especially weird stuff like this that's like gonna be sleeper hits, because not everyone's gonna know about it, with the exception of like Mezco collectors and maybe a few outside of the Mezco community. But man, he's so badass looking. I love the colors, the paint, the differentiation, and like the different types of golds and silvers and the browns and those blues, all looking sick, man. So this is a badass looking figure. So now moving on to the accessories, we actually also do get this little pack-in right here, a little booklet from the records of the Nautilus, which I think looks really cool. It's in a little booklet, a little data journal like that. You get explanations of the different types of weapons, a little description of Captain Nemo, a little bio, little schematics of the Nautilus itself, things like that. Pretty cool. Then you got a dive suit, which is easily just going to be a, it looks like the upcoming Mr. Freeze that Mezco's making, so I don't know if that'll actually get an official release, but I would not mind, which is really cool. And as some people complain, oh, they're just going to be repaint you know, Mr. Freeze. I don't care. As long as it looks different enough, that's cool with me. They used, what's his name, a lot of Cable's armor for the Krig, and I think it looks awesome. So reusing parts doesn't bother me at all. The Wave Rider, which just came up for pre-order today, which I did pick up. Then you got his crew, Mr. Jones, Kraken Jack, ATL or Adel, I think it's ATL, and Ducky. I ordered those guys. Definitely have to have a couple of the crew members. And then there are a little armory right there. Adventure Gallery. If you look here, it's just more like little mini comics or little really cool artwork of the characters looking really awesome. Love that. And there's an image of the dive suit. So, I mean, it looks really cool. Like, look at here. I wonder if it's going to be like in that gold colors that he has on the figure we have now, with that kind of like turquoise undersuit. I think that would be badass, man. So I would totally buy that. And then a little promotional thing of things that, again, came up for sale and pre-order today. You got like the Wave Rider right there, the crewmates, some neon skulls, which are pretty badass. And you got a code right there, just in case you didn't know, there is a code right there. And then a little map like that. So very cool little thing. And you got, oh, a little squid right there. So that squid? Yeah, that looks more like a squid. So pretty cool little pack-in. Moving on, we also, of course, do get the standard Mezco stand with that 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea base like that. Again, I love these stands. They're my favorite stands at this scale. And of course, we do get the clear articulated arm that comes with every figure. We also do get this really nice cloak or cape thing, which is really badass because it actually has a bendy wire in the collar right here, as well as this lower section. That all has a bendy wire, and a section going down like that. So it looks really cool. You're actually going to take these hoops and slide them over the arms, because they're going to come across his shoulder, and then you can wrap. And then there's a little hook right there, a little S hook that's going to connect to a little tat right there, a little stretchy elastic material, and it looks really badass. So I love that, and you'll see pictures with all this stuff later on. He also comes with a little C cap like that. You can actually fit this on over his head right there, and that actually works out cool, especially with this cloak. I think it looks badass, man. So I love that. I love the little N right there. It looks pretty cool too for, I guess, Nemo or Nautilus, whatever you want to call it. It looks really, really cool. He, of course, gets interchangeable hands. You got things like closed-fisted hands, these more like open palm hands. For the left side, we actually do get like a finger-pointing hand for, like, you know, land ho and things like that. You do get more open palm hand for that side as well. We only get gripping hands for his right side. So you got thing like a trigger finger hand right here. You got a hand for like holding his sword, or hands for holding like his telescope and things like that. So then you got more like loose open palm hands for that as well. I wish there was a gripping hand for both sides here. That's kind of weird that they didn't. And I kind of understand why, which I'll show you here shortly, but really not sure why they didn't bother to include a gripping hand for both sides. I think just that's something that would have been really nice. Now, before I move on to his other weapons, I want to show off these other little things, little knickknacks and things that he comes with as well, which I think is really rad. So we get like this, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a shark mouth or shark jaw with the teeth right there, with a little skeleton hand coming out, and a little 1869 placard on there. This is really cool just to add for display with him. Like, he has these little collectibles that he's picked up and little trinkets that he's picked up on his adventures and things like that. I think it's awesome, man. I think it's really cool. I think 1869... correct me if I'm wrong, is that when 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was written? I think. So maybe I'm completely making that up, so I don't know. But feel free to let me know in the comments. But that's really cool, man. I love little extra stuff like this. We also do get a little mini replica of the Nautilus itself, which I think is really fun. I dig this, man. Again, this is totally cool to put on the shelf next to him. Like I said, a lot of boats and things like that do have mini replicas of themselves in the ships, which I think is cool too. You got the little 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea right there, little squid tentacle or octopus tentacles right there, so that's really rad too. And this did come in a separate little box in the package, so it will be packed in there in a nice little foam, so that's really cool. So having these two kind of like side by side, again, just like posed next to him or on display with some kind of like dio if you want to make, I think those are really fun. So now moving on to things like his weapons here, we do get his cutlass sword, which is really dope, man. I love the sheath for this thing with all that really cool fancy trim. I love the handle here with like the octopus eye, and you can kind of see like little squid tentacles curled up like that. And you can pull this out, and a really awesome looking blade. Looks a little dirty and worn, like he's actually used it. So I love this. Now, if you bring the figure in itself right here, we actually do get a spot if you lift up the arm like that, and we have this little piece hanging from his belt like that, and there's a little peg right there. You can actually just push this on like that, kind of a little tricky, but you can get it on there and it will stay actually very nicely, so that works out really cool. You can even move it around like that if you need to. We also do get this really cool pouch on the side right here, but this thing can actually be removed like that, and I love how there's even paint on the inside of this piece right here, which they don't need to do, but it looks really cool. So we also do get other attachments like this. We do get his gun right here. This can be plugged into this right here. You got the two little pegs like that, like so. So you can holster his gun at his side and pull the gun out like that. And that's a really cool looking little weapon. I love how it's like kind of like old school pirate, but kind of futuristic. I think that's a really cool little weapon like that. So I'm gonna take this, put this back on, and yeah, like that, and take that off. We also do get another holster right here that you can plug in as well, like that. Now what that's going to be for is his little telescope that we get, like that actually extends. I love the little trim, all the little intricate details on that. We got an actual little clear lens plastic like that on both sides, which looks really cool. So I love this, how it can move, you know, out like that, and then you can actually peg this, or slide this, excuse me, into the little holster right there, so you can do that as well. So I love having the options of, you know, just in different types of displays and things like that, which is really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. We also do get a really cool little like whalebone knife that actually be plugged in there as well, like that. That's really nice, and it comes out just like so. And it's a tiny little knife. Again, it's all done in that whalebone like color. I love how it's like a little more polished than the other weapons. It looks like it's just like polished, you know, whalebone, you know what I mean? But that looks really cool too. But what they show in the little instructions, this can also be pegged right here. We get a little peg right there on the back of the belt. That can be pegged back there as well. So if you wanted to holster that and something else right here on the side strap as well, you can totally do that. So that works out really cool. So we also do get an interchangeable head with him in the form of this more like angry head, which looks killer. I love how the beard's more flared out and things like that. Same thing with the back of the hair, how it's kind of like wailing back. Same thing with like the bandana. That's really cool too. I did notice with the interchangeable heads here, they're kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt to get on. I think the beard is like kind of getting in the way, so you can just give them a good push down on the holster, or excuse me, tighten on there a little bit better. But that looks really cool, dude. That is definitely the head I'm going to display him with, because he looks super fierce. Now the last accessory we're going to get, we're going to take this little robot hand off like that, and we're going to plug this in right here. This is awesome, man. This is like his harpoon arm, which is like an arm attachment for that robotic hand that he already has there, which looks so freaking cool. I love all the intricate details on there. You can see a little octopus on there like that, looking really cool. The colors, again, mixed with that gold and like copper and things like that, and the silvers all look really nice. You got the spear tip at the end like that, which is really cool. But what's interesting, they actually do have a rope attached to it, so you can pull this off like that, and then there is rope that can be undone because it does spin in there. See that? And you can just pull more rope out, and then you can just plug it back in however you like. I like to leave a little bit dangling, just for a little more aesthetically pleasing. And you can actually turn the sides like this, and roll up the little rope there if you like to tighten it up if you want a more of a tight fit like that. It's a little tricky with my big fat fingers, so I have a little more harder problems with things like this, but let me get that right down there. We're almost there. We're almost there, folks. I know this is great content right here, but we're almost there. We're in this together. That's enough. I like it about that much, dang little. So that's really cool, man. I love things like this. This is what like I'm talking about when it comes to. They could have made this a very simple, kind of boring character, but when you add things like that to a character like this, it takes them to a whole new level, and I love it. I appreciate it, and things like this is why I love the 112 Collective. Oh, and I totally forgot, we also get this little thing right here. I think this thing is called a sextant. I don't remember, but I know it's a little thing. I forget what it does. It's supposed to determine like range or something like that. I totally forget. So let me know. Let me know I'm a complete moron for forgetting what this thing does. And again, I don't even remember if that's what it's called. Is it called the sextant? Probably. But it's really cool, and there's even little like clear plastic lenses in there. I mean, again, it's stuff like this that really catches my eye because it's the attention to detail and things like this. Did he need this? Are many of us going to display him with this? Probably not. But that's really cool that they packed in something really intricate like that. So I love that a lot. Also, one thing I wanted to show off, I was really curious about this head, because I was wondering, is it similar to the Baron Ben's head, the unhelmeted head? So I wanted to take this off and see how this worked here, like that. So maybe do something like that. I think that looks pretty cool. You know, obviously it doesn't match his skin tone and things like that. You can still see the neck peg, but I don't know. For maybe you customizers that wanted to do something with this particular head, I think it still works. Obviously the beard is dramatically different because Nemo himself here has a longer beard with the beads and things like that. But I don't know. Maybe if you wanted to do something with that, I think you could totally do something as well. Okay, now let's run down his articulation. So the head and the neck are on the ball peg, does roll around. You can get left and right a little bit. The beard is going to be hitting the chest here, so it's going to kind of run into a thing like that where you can have to tilt, but then again the hair is a little bit longer, so it hinders that up and down a little bit. But with this head right here, it can go back and forth a little bit because the hair is more flared out and back instead of just draping down, so you can get a little more up and down with this one and a little more tilt as well, so that works out good. Arms can go up about that far. I feel like they are hindered because of the material, so you can get them up about that much, you know, down and out right there. See if it does kind of no butterfly joint. We do get double jointed elbows that bend pretty far like that, so that actually works out pretty good. We get a rotation up there as well. We get rotation at this forearm piece. We get a swivel at the wrist as well as a hinge at the wrist. We do get a double ball peg in the midsection, so that rolls around very nicely. Does turn left and right, and the head is totally popping off right here. Crunches back and forth, pivot side to side. Hip joints head kick forward about that much, back about that far. That sword out the way splits out about that much. That leather-like material is kind of like hindering it from going a little further. Rotation at the thigh there. We get double jointed knees that work pretty nicely. Nothing at the boot. Ankles are on ball pegs. Those roll around, rotate up and down a tiny bit, and a decent ankle rocker. So the articulation is a little hindered here and there. I do wish that were a little bit better, but when it comes to like soft goods and things like that, it's hard to avoid some of those things. But still, man, just the look of this guy, and again, the originality of what they did here with, again, a character that could have been kind of bleh. They went the extra mile, gave us something that feels very special in my opinion. Again, look at the details are just so cool. I just love looking at him, like, you know, as close as possible because he just looks so rad. But I love him. Super happy I picked this guy up along with his crew and his hoverboard thing, whatever that is. I love it, man. He's great, and he is definitely a must get. So for a quick size comparison, here he is sitting next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and Mafex Batman figure. Also for comparison, Here he is sitting next to a couple other Mezco nautical themed characters, being Baron Benz and Popeye the Sailor Man. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of Captain Nemo. Now, I feel like this is one of those figures that's not going to be for everyone. You know, not everyone wants a nautical-themed character or even cares about 20,000 Leagues, but I love the way this turned out. This is one of those figures that could have been super boring, but Mezco-fied the F out of this guy, and I love that. The intricate details around the ornateness of his belts and straps and arm attachment and things like that, giving those subtle things like seashells and octopi is really awesome to me. That really sets this guy off. His soft goods are incredible. Things like his weapons, how you can interchange what you can holster, and that he can holster quite a bit on his belt is really cool. But man, I love that spear attachment. That thing is so badass with the actual rope. That's super cool to me, and great interchangeable heads. And now I guess my biggest complaint would be the articulation. It is hindered in certain areas, especially around the shoulder and a little bit in the legs, but that's to be expected. You know, I know articulation can be a big thing when it comes up for some people when it comes to these action figures. I get that, but certain figures with soft goods, there's just going to be no way around it. It's impossible, physically impossible, but I still think he works pretty good for those little hindrances. But man, I love this piece. He's going to be a sleeper hit this year. I already feel like he's going to be in my top 10 by the end of this year. That's how badass I think he is. And I think Mezco is really invested a lot in this guy with giving us an extra expansion pack already with that hoverboard thing and giving him a whole crew. So they're really building a world around him, which I think is awesome. I love this piece and I'm super impressed. And this is one of those figures is why I love the Mezco line. And he is definitely a must get. So be excellent to each other and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.